So, as discussed earlier, the first point, that is define the objective. Do you know what you are trying to achieve? And you do need to be clear, or as clear as possible, about where you want to get to, and otherwise the whole process or decision making is obscured in a cloud. As the proverb says, if you do not know what path you are heading for, any wind is a right wind. So that means the wind can blow away the thing what you are looking for. So collect relevant information what is required for decision making. So the next skill is concerned with collecting and sifting relevant information. Some of it will be immediately apparent, but other data may be missing. It is a good principle not to make decisions in the absence of critically important information that is not immediately to hand, provided that a planned delay is acceptable. Remember the distinction between available and relevant information. Some thinkers do not, however, look at the information at their disposal and ask themselves, is this relevant? Instead, they wonder, how can I use it? They are confusing two kinds of information. Life would be much simpler if you could just use the information at your disposal rather than that which you really need to make the decision. So often quantities of data are advanced. There are acres of it on the internet that merely add bulk to, say, a management report without giving its recommendations any additional weight. Next is general feasible options. Notice the word options rather than alternatives. An alternative is literally one of two courses open. Decision makers who lack skill tend to jump far too quickly to the either or alternatives. They do not give enough time and mental energy to generate at least 3 or 4 possibilities. As a major in the says to his men, you can be sure that if the enemy has also 2 courses of action open to him, he will choose the third. Next, make the decision. The critical preliminary activity here is to establish a selection criteria. It is worth dividing them into different levels of priority, like must, should, might. Unless and option meets must requirements, you should discard it. But after the essentials have been satisfied, the list of desirables or highly desirables should or pleasant addition might comes into play. Choosing a car is a relatively simple case because there is a finite number of models to choose from a relatively simple list of criteria. In order to help you choose in more complex cases, remember that you can make a decision by listing the advantages and disadvantages, examining the consequences of each course, testing the proposed course against the yardstick of your aim or objective, and weighting the risk against the expected gains. Next, implement and evaluate. Decisions comes from a Latin verb meaning to cut off. It is related to such cutting words as scissors and incision. What is cut off when you make a decision is the preliminary activity of thinking, especially the business of weighing up the pros and cons of the various course of action. You now move into the action phrases. The decision should be seen as part of the overall process. You may hardly notice the actual point of decision, just as passengers on a ship may be asleep when their ship crosses the equator line. The cutoff point, be it conscious or unconscious, is when thinking ends. Your mind is made up and you move into the action of implementation phase. but you are still evaluating the decision and up to the point of no return, PNR. You can always turn up if the early signs dictate. You can always turn back if the early signs dictate. A key issue in leadership is how far the designated leader should share decisions with others. Of course, it is also an issue for all of us. How far should we make our decisions after solitary and silent thought, or how far should we consult others before looking together at the decision making aspect of leadership? Let me put in context by reminding you of the generic role of leader, true for all fields of work and all levels of leadership. If you look closely at matters involving leadership, there are always three elements of variables. Number one, the leader, qualities of personality and character. Two, the situation, partly constant, partly varying. And the next one is the group. The follow is their needs and values. Shared decision making is when health professionals and patients work together. This puts people at the center of decisions about their own treatment and care. During shared decision making, it is important that care or treatment options are fully explored along with the risks and benefits. Different choices available to the patient are discussed. A decision is reached together with a health and social care professional. Benefits of shared decision making. Both people receiving and delivering care can understand what is important to the other person. People feel supported and empowered to make informed choices and reach a shared decision about care. Health and social care professional can tailor the care or treatment to meet the needs of the individuals. We support shared decision making through our guidance and tools. For people receiving care, the care and support you receive shall take your account your needs and preferences. You have the right to be involved in discussions and make decisions about your treatment and care together with your health care. Patient decision aids support conversations and help patients make informed choices. We have developed several tools to support shared decision making for specific conditions. So, the sharing decision making needs are split into three types. One is team maintenance need, other one is task need, and third one is individual needs. So, it is in three forms associated with each other. So, out of the three types of needs, the first one is task need. Work groups and organizations come into being because there is a task to be done that is too big for one person. You can climb a hill or a small mountain by yourself, but you cannot climb Mount Everest on your own. You need a team for that. Why call it a need? Because pressure builds up a head of steam to accomplish the common task. People can feel very frustrated if they are prevented from doing so. So, task need is, as said, if it is small in nature or the task is very simple, others' support may not be required, or without others' support or dependence, the task can be completed. And only when a small issue has arisen as an interruption or a barrier, then others' support may or may not be required. But when it comes to a huge task or an uphill task, so obviously individually the task cannot be done, and definitely guidance is required and support is also required from other people to complete the task within the expectation or expected time, deadline, as the case may be. Next is team maintenance need. This is not so easy to perceive as the task need. as with an iceberg. Much of the life of any group lies below the surface. The distinction that the task need concerns things and the second need involves people does not help much. Again, it is best to think of groups that are threatened from without by forces aimed at their disintegration or from within by disruptive people or ideas. We can then see how they give priority to maintaining themselves against these external or internal pressures, sometimes showing great ingenuity in the process. Instinctively, a common feeling exists that united we stand, divided we fall. That good relationship, desirable in themselves, are also an essential means towards the shared end. This needs to create and promote group cohesiveness and called the team maintenance need. After all, everyone knows what a team is